Spoiler alert. Max looks up at the sky with hope in his eyes. The sister interrupts him and introduces a new orphan named Frey. Max enjoys looking at pictures in books even though he can't read, but his new friend, Frey, says she can. Max rushes to show her his favorite book, eager to know what it says. The book describes Elysium, a place far above Earth, where robots serve the people and no one ever gets sick or grows old. Max promised Frey that one day they'll go there together. Frey writes their initials on his hand and says their bond will never break. These are the happy memories Max remembers from his childhood. The year is 2154. Pollution, overpopulation, and disease have made the Earth no longer a good place to live. Cities are overcrowded. The rich and powerful people have all fled to Elysium, the space station they built for themselves. Life on Elysium is perfect. The air is clean and food is plenty. Every home has a machine called a med bay that can cure any disease or injury in an instant. On Earth, a hacker group led by a man named Spider has found a way to create fake IDs, allowing the poor and sick to be recognized as Elysium citizens. People who are in need of medical help would pay for these IDs and for a ride to Elysium. They are desperate to be healed in the med bays. As the shuttles get close to Elysium, Defense Secretary Delacourt is alerted. She rushes to the control room and finds out that the ships are full of illegals. She contacts an agent on Earth, ordering him to shoot them down. But one pilot manages to dodge the missiles and land on Elysium. The passengers rush out of the shuttle, but Delacourt sends robot guards to catch them immediately. Only one mother and her sick daughter reach a medbay. The girl is healed, but the robots find and arrest them, sending them to the deportation center. Max remembers his rough childhood. He used to steal food to survive, but the sister always believed in him. She told him he has the potential to do something marvelous someday. She knew his heart longed for Elysium, so she gave him a necklace, a token to remind him of Earth's beauty from up there. Now Max works at the Armadine Corporation. He tries to stay away from trouble and holding on to hope that someday he'll be able to buy a ticket to Elysium. Robots now patrol the streets instead of human police, and while he is heading to work, a group of robot enforcers spots him. They scan his face and instantly flag him as an ex-criminal. They demand to search his bag. Max tries to lighten the moment with a joke, but the robots don't find it funny. They respond with force, breaking his arm. After finding nothing illegal, they coldly order him to report to his parole officer for resisting orders. He goes to the hospital to treat his arm, where he runs into Frey again. She has become a nurse since leaving the orphanage, and Max is happy to see her back in the city. She asks if he's still causing trouble, but he assures her he's a changed man now. Later, he asks if she'd like to have dinner sometime. Frey says her life is complicated right now. After some persuasion, she agrees to meet for coffee instead. Max's parole officer turns out to be another emotionless robot. As Max begins explaining what happened, the robot interrupts him and coldly extends his parole by 8 more months. Max is annoyed, but the robot notices his rising heart rate and offers him pills to calm down. He forces a smile, knowing he has no power in this system. Sarcastically, he mimics the robot's voice while answering questions, but it warns him that this kind of behavior is a federal offense. Max gives up and walks away. When Max arrives at the factory, his manager sees his hurt arm. The manager scolds him for being late and says he can leave for the day. But Max refuses. He says he's fine and can keep working. He knows that if he leaves, they might replace him for good. Ironically, the factory he works in builds the same robot officers that injured him. The owner of the factory is one of the rich people who live on Elysium. He frequently visits Earth to make sure nothing interrupts production. The next day, Max's closest friend begs him to help with a car theft operation. They need Max's skills to pull it off, but Max turns him down. He's trying to stay clean. Still, he gives his friend advice on how to do it smart and safe, then heads to his factory job. At work, robots go through a radiation chamber to sterilize them before shipping. That day, however, the doors malfunction. The manager demands Max to fix it immediately, or he will lose his job. Max enters inside and clears the jam, but the door shuts on him, trapping him and blasting him with a lethal dose of radiation. Max wakes up to a robot doctor telling him he has just 5 days left to live. It tosses him a bottle of pills, saying they'll help with the pain, but won't stop what's coming. The factory manager informs the owner about what happened, but the owner doesn't care. He orders the manager to remove Max from the facility. Barely able to walk, Max drags himself home. His friend sees him struggling and helps him inside. Max says he needs to find Spider. He's running out of time and must reach Elysium for treatment. His friend gives him the pills and takes him to see Spider. When Spider sees Max, he welcomes him. They've known each other for a long time. Max reminds him he once went to prison because of Spider, and now he needs a favor. He tells Spider he's dying and needs a fake ID and a flight to Elysium. Spider refuses, but Max, growing desperate, threatens him. He says he has nothing left to lose. Spider finally believes Max is serious. He agrees to help, but only if Max agrees to his plan. On Elysium, the president summons Delacour. He reprimands her for using extreme methods to stop the illegal ships, especially her use of sleeper agents. He warns her not to take such actions again and threatens to remove her from her role if it happens again. Delacour, however, disagrees. She strongly believes in keeping the poor away from Elysium, no matter what it takes. Determined to gain full authority, she secretly proposes a deal to the head of Armadine Corporation, a lifetime defense contract in exchange for a program that would let her overthrow the current leadership and become president herself. He accepts her proposal. Spider brings Max to his workshop and shows him a brain-hacking device. He wants Max to extract private data, bank access, codes, and key information from a high-ranking person on Elysium. If Max accepts, he will get the IDs and a flight to Elysium. Max's friend tries to stop him, but Spider, noticing how sick Max is, offers him a powerful exosuit for free to help with the job. Max sees a chance to get back at the Armadine owner for how badly he was treated. He agrees to Spider's plan. Spider's team gets to work. They hook up the hacking system to Max's brain and fit him with the exosuit. After a series of commands, the brain-linked device powers on. At the hospital, the doctor tells Frey that her daughter's leukemia has gotten worse, and they can't help her anymore. He suggests she take the girl home. Frey is heartbroken. The next morning, Max feels a surge of strength. The surgeon is amazed to see him alive and well. After testing the exosuit, he is ready to go. Meanwhile, the Armadine owner saves the rewritten program inside his brain and informs Delacour that he will see her soon. But before his shuttle can take off, Max shoots one of the engines, and they begin to chase it. Delacour sees this and quickly calls Agent Kruger to make sure her ally is safe. Max and his team arrive at the crash site, but are immediately attacked by the robots guarding the shuttle. Delacour watches the situation unfold and starts to panic. Max helps his friend find cover, then shoots the robot, blowing it apart. Another robot comes out as they get closer to the shuttle. One of Spider's men fires his gun, and a stray bullet hits the Armadine owner. Ordinary bullets have no effect on these robots. Max rushes to save his friend and, using the power of the exosuit, rips off the robot's head, ending the fight. Seeing their target critically wounded, Max and his team rush to hack his brain before it's too late. The hacker successfully extracts the program from his brain, but the data becomes unexpectedly scrambled, locked behind a security program. With Kruger and his squad closing in, the hacker decides to run. Amid the chaos, Max's head starts to hurt badly. His friend helps him into the car and starts driving, but Kruger deploys 2 explosives and blows up the vehicle. Max manages to escape the wreckage, but before he can recover, Kruger shows up and starts attacking him. Just as Kruger is about to kill Max, his friend opens fire and distracts him. Kruger quickly turns and kills Max's friend without hesitation. Furious, Max fires back, but Kruger blocks every shot with his shield. The shockwave knocks him down. Max is crushed by the loss of his closest friend, but with Kruger's team returning after they hunted down the others, Max has no choice but to flee. After learning Max has the classified program, Delacour commands Kruger to capture him alive and as soon as possible. They immediately begin scanning everyone at the city. An old woman spots Max in pain and quietly helps him hide beneath her trailer. When the scanners check the trailer, they only detect pigs. With no luck, Kruger decides to check the crash site. There, his squad uncovers the secret plan showing Delacourt's intention to take over Elysium. Now he understands why she's so eager to capture Max. Meanwhile, Max is outside the hospital. He cannot go inside, knowing the security will recognize him right away. Luckily, Frey is ready to take her daughter home. When she steps out to get the car, Max spots her and calls out for help. She's shocked to see him wearing an exosuit and a strange device on his head. Max tells her he's a wanted man now and begs her to help patch him up. Frey brings Max to her home and helps patch up his wound. Near the injury, she notices a tattoo with their initials, just like the one she wrote when they were kids. The next day, she introduces her daughter to Max and reminds him that her life is still full of problems. After seeing her child, Max feels guilty for getting her involved. He decides it's best to leave, but Frey stops him. She says her daughter is running out of time and begs Max to help them get to Elysium too. Max says he can't. Dangerous people are after him, and the only safe thing to do now is to stay far away. As Max leaves the house, a drone catches sight of him and reports it to Kruger. Kruger storms into the house and threatens Frey, asking where Max is headed. Frey tells him she doesn't know, but Kruger thinks she's lying. He then takes both her and her daughter as hostages. Max arrives at Spider's base and insists they fly to Elysium now since he completed his task. But Spider tells him that Delacourt has jammed all flight systems to Elysium. He explains that Max must have something extremely valuable to cause such a major lockdown. Maybe whatever's in Max's head can help them get back to Elysium. Max agrees to let Spider scan his brain. What Spider finds isn't just passwords or bank codes, but a program powerful enough to reboot Elysium's entire mainframe. Spider says he can change the program to make everyone on Earth a legal citizen of Elysium. That way, Elysium's defense system won't attack incoming shuttles, and anyone could use the medbays without needing fake IDs. After hearing this, Max decides to trade the data in his head with Delacourt in return for a cure. Spider warns him not to do it, but Max is desperate. Before Max leaves, Spider secretly places a tracker on him. Max reaches out to Kruger and agrees to meet. He warns Kruger not to attack or he'll use a grenade. Kruger acts calm and tells him there's nothing to worry about. But once Max steps onto the shuttle, he's shocked to see Frey and her daughter already inside. Delacourt ends the lockdown once Kruger confirms Max is with them. With the skies to Elysium clear, Spider wastes no time and commands his team to fly there and rescue Max. Kruger begins harassing Frey and her daughter again, but it's only a trick to distract Max. Suddenly, they attack him, but Max fights back. The grenade goes off in Kruger's face and the blast was strong enough to make the shuttle go down. Max successfully rescues the child, and Frey is okay as well. He helps her out of her seat and she rushes to find a medbay. But Max is soon attacked by one of Kruger's soldiers and gets zapped shortly after. Frey finally finds a medbay, but it denies access without a valid ID. She pleads with one of Kruger's soldiers to help her daughter, but he stuns her as well and captures them. Playing innocent, Delacourt tells the president that she foresaw an invasion by illegals. She calls it an act of war and announces she will now take over Elysium, citing emergency protocol. Max wakes up strapped to an operating table. The scientists tell Delacourt the data is still intact, but removing it could kill him. She doesn't care and orders them to proceed before leaving. Meanwhile, Kruger's team places him in the medbay. Once it confirms his brain is stable, the machine begins to reconstruct his damaged face. As soon as he wakes up, Kruger demands to know where Max is. With the help of his exosuit, Max breaks free from one of his restraints and quickly takes out the scientists with ease. He then takes their IDs and begins searching for Frey and her daughter. Delacourt approaches Kruger and reminds him that the mission was supposed to remain secret, but Kruger loses his patience. He grabs a broken piece of glass and stabs her. He plans to use Max's brain data to become the new president and orders his men to attack the station. Spider's shuttle finally lands on Elysium, and his team begins tracking Max's location. Max sees Frey and her daughter on the security cameras. He also spots Spider and contacts him immediately, asking him to meet at the armory room. Kruger puts on a more advanced exosuit and begins his hunt for Max. But just as he leaves the room, Max arrives and attacks the soldier who is busy threatening Frey. His strength is surging after taking all his remaining pills earlier. Without wasting a second, he grabs the soldier, slams him to the floor, and hurls him toward his partner, narrowly missing him. He quickly dodges the gunfire and grabs a weapon from the armory to take him down as well. Once the room is clear, Max opens the door and leads them to the elevator. There, he tells her to look for a medbay. She hesitates, saying it won't work without an ID. Max assures her that it will this time. She asks him to come with her, but Max says he'll join her soon. Soon Spider and his squad arrive. He tells Spider to send someone to protect Frey and her daughter and make sure they reach a medbay. Spider nods and they move toward the Elysium core, but Kruger intercepts them. A brutal fight begins. Both Max and Kruger land painful blows, but Max's illness slows him down. Kruger mocks him, saying he'll never save the girl. Max becomes enraged and lunges at him. He pulls the control device, cutting off Kruger's control over his exosuit. As Max climbs back up, Kruger responds by attaching a grenade to Max's exosuit, hoping to kill them both. His laughter turns into a frown as Max rips off his exosuit to remove the pull ring, and throws him over the ledge just as the grenade explodes. Spider successfully hacks the door to the core room. There, he links Max's brain to the main system and updates the codes to recognize everyone on Earth as legal citizens. He warns Max that the data transfer will fry his brain after uploading, but Max already knows and is prepared. He calls Frey and says he won't be able to keep his promises this time. He looks at Earth and remembers the nun saying he would do something marvelous. Max presses the upload button and the system begins to reboot. The president and his guards arrive at the core room. He orders the robot to arrest Spider, but they refuse. Spider is now a registered citizen too. Frey tries the medbay again, and it works. She hugs her daughter, crying with happiness. The new system detects countless people on Earth in need of medical help, and shuttles with medbays launch from Elysium. For the first time, hope returns to the world.